a podcast in Garageband, and then we're going to launch that podcast. The first step is to actually create the file that's going to be uploaded that the user can download when they subscribe to your podcast. So GarageBand allows you to create enhanced audio podcasts, and to do that you just open up GarageBand, click on podcast and save it somewhere. So I'm just going to call this Philip Doyle NMP. That's the name of actually no, I'm going to call this music, because this is going to be a music based podcast release. I'll just save it on the desktop and create that. Right, so what I have here is I have an empty GarageBand project. I'm just going to open up the folder to grab the files that I need for this. So it's going to be okay. So it's a AIFF file that I'm going to use as my source music file. So this is going to be the audio part of my enhanced podcast, and then I'm going to put these two images on the podcast also, so that they'll flick up on screen if you're watching it in iTunes. And I'm also going to put some URL links on it as well. So to add the file, I'm just going to drag it over here. I'll drag it onto the left portion there, so that it'll just be placed at the first part of the timeline here. Okay, so this is just a piece of classical music. Let's go into GarageBand. Turn that down. Okay, so it starts off with some violins, and then further on down the track there's a cymbal crash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a violin image at the very top of the track. So just drag that in there, and I'll leave that there for a moment. You'll see that it pops up down here, and I can put in some extra information. Then I'm going to go to the part where the cymbal crash comes in, which is roughly here, and I'll drag in the percussion.jpg. Okay, so these are my two markers, my two chapter markers. So I'll select my violin, and I'm going to say when this image is on screen, the word violin is going to be up on the screen also. Now I'm going to give it a URL, and then the URL is going to be violin lessons, and that is going to allow me to link to a site located at violinlessonsreview.com. Okay, so that is now done. I have an image, I have a title, and I also have a URL title that when I click on it, it's going to launch this URL. Now what I could also do before I move on is I could actually have an image associated with this piece of audio that pops up in the side of your media player just when you select the track. So this is actually an image that's going to be associated with the entire audio track, as opposed to the chapter markers that pop up as you move through the track. So just for simplicity, I'm going to keep the violins as my episode artwork as well. So if I open this up in QuickTime even, it wouldn't give me the flexibility to click on links or anything like that, but the episode artwork will pop up, so I can have a graphic associated with my song. Now I'm going to scroll along, select my drumming chapter marker, put in drums as a title here, not crumbs, I want drums, and Drum Ireland, because it's going to launch a site located at drummingireland.com. Right, so now I have my enhanced podcast built. I can test it locally now in iTunes here just to see if it's working, and then I'll move over to the PC where I can connect to the web and actually launch it. So the first thing you need to do is to share it. So you don't save it or export it. You go to share, and instead of choosing any one of these, which would automatically send it to either iTunes or to, if you had an iWeb account, it would actually upload it to the web for you. I'm just going to export it to disk so that I could open up in any package that I want. Now you'll see that it's compressing it using a AAC encoder. The only enhanced podcast can only be made through the use of this particular encoder. If you switch to MP3, you won't get the URLs, you won't get those chapter markers. So click export, and it'll ask me where I want to save it. I'll just save it to the desktop as well. It's called music, and it'll just take a second to mix that down. Now go out to the desktop, find the file music.m4a, and I'm going to click and drag that down onto iTunes. And you'll see that its chapter markers are coming up. My URL title is coming up. If I scroll a little bit further down, you'll see that the Drum Ireland text has come up. Now I can't actually launch this because I'm not connected to the web on this machine, so I'm going to move over to another machine now and carry on with launching the podcast. Before I do, just open it up in QuickTime, and you'll see that it shows the episode graphics. Okay, so this is the first step, creating the enhanced podcast.